The Church of Mavis Radio Show, Friday nights at 8 p.m., 7 Central, starring Jeffrey Pritchett with his co-hosts Wham and Jay McNicholas, right here on the United Paranormal Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM, New Orleans.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, you know. Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Welcome to UFO Undercover, with your host, Joe Montaldo.
I think you're muted, sir. I don't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. Welcome to UFO
go.
Undercover. Hope everybody's having a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. A lot of stuff going on in the UFO world. A lot of stuff going on everywhere in the world. Well, I mean, I'm getting UFO sightings constantly, every day. Somebody's sending me a new picture of this, a new picture of that, a new picture of that, a new picture of this. Now, the problem with a lot of these pictures are obviously they're hoaxed, or they're AI, or they're a combination of hoaxed AI is what they really are. What's that, Jeffrey? You don't like my
before the AI, a lot of my research group friends on Facebook, because I have a degree in video and photography, they send me videos, and 10 years, 15 years ago, they were so horrible and like obviously immediately fake. It's gross. They're terribly bad videos.
There are a lot of bad videos out there. There's a lot of bad stuff out there. Well, so let's do this. Hey, Janet, how you doing tonight? Chris, how you doing? Think of it this way. So a lot of stuff going on in the world, right? We'll go backwards 6,000, 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 years. We'll go back 12,500 years because they just recently found another yet sunken city off the coast of India that's probably around 15 to 18,000 years old. Now, remember,
second or third? How many is that now?
Third, I believe.
Third, okay.
I believe it's the third.
One is Dwarka. There are two.
They found a pair right after the tsunami came through.
Yeah. Okay.
So they found two. They found the one, and then like a couple of weeks later, a couple months later, they found the other one. They weren't really that far apart. I mean, I could take
because those two cities are spoken about in the Mahabharata. They're very close in the Mahabharata as the description goes, and then they are also destroyed by fire from the gods or whatever they describe it in the book. I haven't read it, so fire and brimstone basically it would be in the Bible.
So they say each city was around 250,000 people. Sorry, guys.
How many?
250,000 each city.
200. Wow, that's huge.
These are big cities. So it's a little weird. And now this new city they think is somewhere between 100 and 300,000 people. These are huge cities. I mean, a 250,000 city. That's New Orleans.
Well, let's put it in terms modern day terms. So that city that's 250,000 is roughly the population of Hiroshima, which we dropped a nuke on and killed everybody in the city.
Well, New Orleans is only 300,000.
He died years later, so the death toll went up, but it's about the same size.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of cities in the United States that size, and there's lots of cities around the world that size.
Yeah, but no cities in the U.S. have been destroyed by some sort of power like nuclear destruction. And these two cities, at least these two cities, Dwarka, and I can't.
Well, see, this is the funny part. According to the archaeologists, they weren't destroyed; they were sunk. They're still intact. So the foundation,
destruction. No, I mean,
So the foundation is still there. They're not broke up or cracked up or anything. But Jimmy, see, that's the problem. The top parts of the buildings are gone, and they're not on the location. Which to me, yeah, that's what I would think. A tsunami. But remember, there was a tsunami that showed these to us. So when it went back out, because when tsunamis are coming, all the water to the shore for like a half a mile to a mile out just disappears. There's no water.
It will recede rapidly. You'll if you're there, you'll
see it. You'll see it happening. You'll definitely see it. Now, if you're not there, you're going to walk up to the beach with the lowest tide you've ever seen in your life.
You'll see like stranded animals. It moves that fast. There'll be like fish flopping around.
And then all of a sudden you'll look up and you will see a 50, 100, 200. If it pulls out a mile, then you got a mile tall tidal wave. So, I mean, guys, we've seen what a 25-foot tidal wave did to the Gulf Coast. I hate to see what one that size could do. Yeah. I mean, I don't even want to think about it. It's ridiculous in the size we're talking about here. I mean, it's just outrageous. So I think in this case, it was probably, well, what was that, a 7 or an 8? So what happened, the reason we found these two cities is there was an earthquake, and the plates did this number. Can y'all see my hands? They went whoosh.
Yep.
So this plate went up. This plate went down. When it did, it pushed the water up, and it created a tsunami. Now, I don't remember what Richter this was on the scale. I thought it was like a 7 or 8, which means it probably pushed up about a 50, maybe 75-foot wave. Now, remember, this was at the location it pushed up a 75 wave. The ocean's a big place, so it does dissipate.
By the time it gets to the shore, if it's in the middle, it's, I don't know how much exponentially larger, but way larger.
So anyway, so we're figuring when the one that hit there, I think they said was 65 feet and went inland quite a distance. And then when it went out, they found the cities. And what's better than that, for some reason, the water stayed out. The cities are uncovered now. They're not underwater anymore. At least one of them's not. I think the other one's only underwater sometimes.
Well, okay, so if that happened in reverse, maybe that happened just the opposite when the cities were living, and the plates did that, and that's why the tops are gone.
Yeah. So the wave took the tops, probably took them inland, and then the sand, when it came back out, covered them. So what we figured here happened was the sand over the years covered these cities, and when the tsunami receded outward, it took all the sand with it.
Suck some of that sand off of it. Yeah.
So that's why we found them. These are big cities. No, these are advanced cities too. They had they said they had plumbing like as far as at least as advanced as the Romans. The Romans are
Well,
pretty advanced
they
2,000 years
think
ago.
also the Mayans did too. They found some. It's like a U channel ceramic almost type of installation in the floors of some of the Mayan temples, and Georgia Tsoukalos thinks, oh, it could be for electrical conduit. Electrical conduit usually is round, but anyway, maybe. But it looks more like a drain, because it's shaped like that, and it has a pitch to it. Electrical conduit doesn't
Sad
need.
part is ceramic can be used for both electrical and plumbing.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. It could. Maybe it was both. Who knows? But they don't know what it was for. But the possibility that this channel that they found, if there's multiple of them, it could be both. One was electrical, one was water.
If it wasn't a loop, if it was a J instead of a loop, then it was definitely plumbing.
I think it's plumbing because it looks. My first job was as a lifeguard, and I eventually became one of the pool operators. So I was able to operate the equipment and clean the pool filters, and it was fun. Anyway, we had similar type of gutters in our pool. Like the deck, it's hard to describe. The deck came out like this, and then under the deck was a little gutter that was a U-shaped thing. It looks exactly like this thing in Mayan temples, but it was made out of a blue tile, and they were separated with little grout lines. This is one long, piece of diorite or whatever rock they used, and I think andesite. And I don't know how long the piece is, but it goes. You can't see because the picture is it goes in that way, but you see this U-shaped thing, and it's probably I'd guess by the video, a half inch to 3/4 of an inch thick. It's a big piece of tile.
It's a big piece of tile.
Yeah.
What's that, Jackie? Yeah, you can get us on UFO Paranormal Radio. For some reason, if we try to load it before we start, it doesn't work right. But if we load it after we start, it does. We have 3 glitches going on with StreamYard. We have a Roku glitch, a Facebook glitch, and an X glitch. See, originally
we had a YouTube glitch, but that's been resolved.
The YouTube and some of the Facebook has been resolved.
Oh, good.
We were putting Roku. See, Roku just straightened out. So we were putting Roku on Roku.
I still got an exclamation point on my side.
Yeah, mine just got a green check mark on it. But regardless, we were putting Roku on StreamYard, and then come to find out it doesn't look like it was StreamYard. I mean, it does look like it was StreamYard. I mean, we were putting Roku on Roku, and it turns out it's going to stream. It doesn't matter. Somewhere between the 1st and 5th, we're going to probably be on a different system anyway. But we'll keep all y'all informed on that. No, we're not getting. Who said that? We're not getting rid of TV. We're keeping TV. Well, I've been thinking about switching over to Prime. Well, not Prime, but Fire Stick. Well, Roku's actually better for this kind of stuff because of the way it's. See, they just pop back up. It's actually better for this because Roku is a little bit different. So Prime and Roku offer a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah, and you can get Prime on Roku, just like, but
yeah, Roku is the one I think the one and only stick, because I don't think you can do this with Fire Stick, but you can download other streaming services, and Roku will manage. You can subscribe to these things through Roku instead of the actual thing, and I think you get like $1 off. But you can subscribe to all those things, HBO Max, and Roku handles that for you, and you can cancel them at any time. So it's
plus Roku has specialties. Well, Roku has specialty things like Roku TV, but there's a couple of networks now that are on Roku that you cannot find anywhere else. So there's nothing wrong with Prime. I mean, with Stick. Well, you should be able to get Netflix and Hulu and Disney and stuff. I haven't heard.
Few NFL games, I don't think Prime has a live function.
So it's
a live streaming function.
It's just a different service. That's all. And eventually we'll have all 4 of them offered. But right now, Roku seems to be doing well for us, except for this little glitch with StreamYard. Once it's resolved, it's resolved. Everything else seems to be going good, and we're starting to do good. We have some problems with Google with some feature issues, but that's stuff that that's behind the scenes that y'all don't have to deal with. It's just my headaches. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking to before we get so way off track. So the reason I bring up all these ancient world cities is because we're now finding cities as far back as 15,000 years that are as advanced as any cities that were built during the Roman and Egyptian era.
Three of
If you
them are
look,
in Turkey.
so the problem here, when we found, so you got these three cities, you got the ones in Japan, you got the ones off the coast of Cuba. There seems to be some cities that are in deep water, deep water now. But
There's some cities that are on the top of a mountain that are destroyed as well.
yeah, this does.
Pumapunku, for example.
And recently, the LIDAR program has found stuff in the water in Africa and in South America. They think they
On the
found it.
east or west coast of Africa. I would say the east coast. Yeah.
I don't know. They didn't say. They just said Africa, and they said that's at least 75 to
I'm going to guess
80
more
new
towards the
cities.
east coast because that would be the Lemurian aspect of things, whereas Pacific would have to be Atlantean.
It's what's that, Jamie? I don't know. No, they just sound they've been finding cities all over the place that
Yeah.
we didn't know existed. Well, there's
They
a lot of jungle still on the planet.
they
There's a lot of
announced one
jungle
they
still
found
left in Africa.
in Peru, I think, just last week, a brand new one in the jungle, completely covered.
What do you mean, Jackie? Why did they find more in South? Mainly because it's probably just more cities. The
Well,
Mesoamericans were building all over the place. Remember, we say Mesoamericans for one reason, because the Toltecs started all this. Actually, it was a race before the Toltecs, but we're going to give the Toltecs credit for it.
Olmecs came
Yeah,
first.
so for the argument of science, we're going to give the Toltecs credit, even though I agree with Jay. But then you had the Aztecs, Incans, and Mayans. So these five civilizations went on a building spree from South America to North America. No, because Mexico's in North America.
Well, wait.
Okay.
They also interacted with the ancient Japanese and Korean people, the Homons, and that's where they got their clay potteries from.
It's there's a lot. There's so much that seems like we explored outside of away from the islands.
Well,
They
I've
even made
always
it into the United States. Well, I guess New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado. They seem to have made it into that area of the United States. I don't know about California so much, even though there was a Spanish helmet found there. I don't know how far the Mesoamericans even made it into California, but I know they made it into New Mexico, Arizona, and Colorado. Well, the
yes,
Pueblos were there,
at
so
least and maybe as far as Ohio.
yeah, maybe so. So we don't know for sure, but they were exploring, and eventually, if whatever didn't take them out took them out, they would eventually took the United States, and it would have been one big happy family
Well,
from
some say
Canada all the way down.
they didn't just die out. They just wandered into the jungle, and that's what we find in those native peoples. There was some gentleman, I don't remember which. I think it was for a Democratic rally, but he said that he was of a Mayan people. He spoke Nahuatl, which is a unique language. And he said that we didn't die off. We're still here. I'm Mayan. He's trying to
Well, that's
bring
true.
awareness.
Technically the Mesoamericans didn't die off, so most of them was what's his face when he came over and robbed them of all their gold. He killed a bunch of them, and they
Well,
crossbred with a bunch of them, but there's still a bunch of them.
I think
So
also a lot passed away on based on just bacteria and the
yeah,
diseases they would
diseases.
have brought from Europe that they were already immune to.
And
But the
that's a
natives
funny
weren't.
thing too. So it seemed like the Mesoamericans were less vulnerable to the diseases that the Native Americans weren't. It was weird. No. Don't take me out of context here. Lots of people died in South America, but not to the way they did in North America from things like chickenpox and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It
or
it, it,
guns.
it, it just yeah, guns, yeah. It just seemed like it just seemed like that. A lot more have died here. There's scientific study to back it up, but so when the conquistadors came and I mean they pillaged and raped, but because they thought he was a god, they didn't realize that he was just some stupid white man,
Yeah.
and so they
Well,
they
but
just
he's prophesied in their books. That's why they
yes.
thought, white skin and red hair. And he didn't have the red hair so much, but he had a light brown. So
If they had paid more attention and just worked with this guy, then it might have been a whole different thing because they had an empire. The Spanish could have just come in and took over if they wouldn't have let them. They
yeah,
had an empire, and they were fierce fighters, so they had to be allowed. And if they wouldn't have been allowed in, they would have just killed them all off. Instead, the Spanish killed off lots and lots and lots of Mesoamericans, but there's still a lot of Mesoamericans around. And Mesoamericans are different than Native Americans. So they're different. They're kind of built different. There's even a group of them down there that have a different brain, a different head than other people do on the planet. It's a very strange group, and they were just here, but they stretch out. I mean, it was a huge empire, and it
Yeah,
wasn't like the Native Americans where they were all killing each other.
it wasn't just here. It was this empire. There was another empire that spanned Africa, because we're finding, advanced cities over there. I've always had this theory. The Garden of Eden, they say, is somewhere somewhere by the Euphrates and Tigris River, somewhere around there. They think they've located some possible locations. I beg to differ, because
it's in Florida, man. You need to tell these people,
I think there are 5 or 6 Garden of Edens, and I think there's one in South America. I think there's one in North America, Europe, Africa, and a couple in Asia, probably, maybe 3 or 4, because there's so many diverse, different types of body types and skin colors. Just look at the diversity of people on our planet. There isn't one place where we were all made. There was one place where all of us were made, and we eventually began to intermingle. And I think the theory of the Garden of Eden, we're going to find out. There's an origin species for the Native Americans, the Native North Americans, the Africans, all over the planet. We're going to find eventually where, if the Anunnaki actually did mess with our DNA, we're eventually going to find the proof, and I think it's going to be found in South America first. I said it years ago. If we search South America, we're going to find hundreds of cities under those trees, and that's what we're finding today.
Yeah, Jan, no, I stand corrected. It was the Fountain of Youth in Florida. Yes,
Ponce de Leon.
Yes,
that is also a monument. My girlfriend's mom lives down there, and they sent up a bottle of Fountain of Youth water. You're supposed to drink a little bit at a time, and I haven't opened it up yet, but what harm can it do,
What's that, Jimmy? How much money you got? You want to bet me what? That Mexico's not part of North America? How much money you got? You got a lot? Because, man, look, you better have a lot if you're going to bet me. Actually, dude, to be totally honest with you, 98% of Mexico is part of North America. There's a little piece at the bottom, a tiny little piece at the bottom that's part of Central America.
Yeah, where Guatemala is.
It's right there where it meets it, but the rest of it's all.
Chicxulub, Mexico is.
I'm not sure why they did that in the first place. Why didn't they just leave all of Mexico as part of North America? I don't. Maybe they changed it, but last I checked, it was still like that. No, people always think Mexico is part of South America, which is not even close, because it's Central America in between. But no, they're part of North America. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can look it up for yourself, or you can just look up the North American Treaty and you'll find it.
If you're looking at us on a computer, you have a device called a map you can look at. It'll show you those places.
I mean, no, it's the North American Treaty is the United States, Canada, and Mexico. There is a treaty between what they call the Americas, which is a bunch of the states in the Americas. Yeah. Like Brazil and Argentina, not Argentina. No, Argentina's part of it, or they'd say Cuba's not.
Costa Rica is a country in South America, and they have no standing army. So if they are ever attacked by any of their neighbors or anyone from Europe, we drop in right away. It's automatic. Boom. We are sworn to protect them from any invasion.
Actually, Jimmy, to be honest with you, the vast majority of South American countries have small armies. You don't really read about them. You don't really hear about them. Even Brazil and Colombia's armies aren't huge. They're decent size, but they're not huge. Brazil's the size of the continental United States with about 200 million, maybe a little less than 200 million people. So they could have a big army. They just don't need, because you're part of the Americas. You have the United States, Canada, and Mexico to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a little bit different. Well, no, you got Argentina and Cuba, which are the sore spots, but
yeah. And Argentina is the largest country over there.
Oh, wait.
Or at least the longest anyway.
Venezuela. I'm sorry. Venezuela is who I was thinking about. Argentina's down there at the right or something, bottom right or bottom.
On the bottom left, and it takes up most of the western side of the Southern American continent.
Yes, and by the way, it is UFO Central down there. It's
that whole
it's
area.
Argentina and what's the country next to it? They're both just like unbelievable amount.
Let me get the map. Gosh, my geography's usually pretty good. But
Well, it's like the Nazcans. So Nazca's down there somewhere, and
that's
the
in
Nazcan
Peru.
lines are they're just ridiculous. The amount of Nazcan lines are down there, just the amount. So this show is really about where is good evidence in the past. So we got the Nazcans who are boarding their children
Okay.
that look like they're aliens that used to walk amongst them and build artwork and all kind of stuff to attribute to
Very
aliens.
well.
Not just them, the Mayans, Incas, and Aztecs also said their gods walked amongst them, which even the Egyptians said their gods. But it's more than that because, like
All
in
right, here we
Egyptian
go.
hieroglyphs, you find
Where are you?
artwork suggesting that there was some type of visitation or some type of extraterrestrial. Well, I mean, come on, they got a UFO in there and a gray.
All right, you ready
Good,
for this?
good.
This is the colorful map of South America. So way at the
Look how
top here,
pretty.
yeah, it's nice. Way up here is Venezuela,
And there's
Guyana,
big orange in
Cayenne,
Brazil.
French Guiana. These are all very small places. Colombia, Ecuador. That's the equator right there. Boom. So anything here is always south. There's Peru. This Nazca is over here somewhere, I believe. And then down here is the astronaut with the trident. You can see from the coast coming in. This is Bolivia, as I think it's the country you're looking for. That's the Puma Punku is up around here somewhere, I think. Argentina. Oh, okay. Argentina is on the right, not the left. Chile is the longest country
Yeah,
here. I was close. And Argentina is probably almost as long as Chile.
I always
Uh,
forget Chile though, man. I
and
always
then
forget.
Brazil is the largest of
Yeah,
the
it's the biggest.
countries
So
here.
it's like I said, it's about the size of the continental U.S. So I
Yeah.
mean, this one day will be one nation down here eventually. America will make sure of that, and we'll just make Mexico one nation with the Middle East. I mean, with the Middle East, with this. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, there's also been speculation when I was in high school that this time of this time frame, like right now, the 2020s, 2030s, that Baltimore and Washington D.C. will have merged to become one large mega city. That hasn't quite happened yet, but they are expanding in those directions.
Yeah, but
Um,
DC can't become part of Baltimore because of the rules. Unfortunately, DC is kind of screwed. There's certain things they can't do
yeah.
because they're not a state; they're just a city, and they're a
Well,
city
no, they're
that
not even
borders.
that. It's a district.
Yeah, it is a district. That's right, it's a district.
The
What's it
District
border?
of
Four
Columbia. That's what the D.C.
four
stands for.
states: Virginia.
Two states. It took up two sections of two counties in Maryland and two sections of two counties in Virginia. But Virginia, I don't remember when, but at some point, you can maybe ask Alexa. Virginia took their half back, so Washington D.C. was cut in half. So the District of Columbia is strictly within the borders of Maryland, and it is just south of Prince George's County
Yeah, because I know it's
and
right
Montgomery
there.
County.
Yeah, because I know it's right there on the edge. What's that, Jimmy?
Well, I had access to DC all the time. I mean, it was like a 25-minute drive if the traffic was light. Go straight through Potomac, take a left on River Road, boom, 20 minutes later, you're there.
Oh, last time I flew in, I think I landed in Maryland and took the interstate. It was like 40 minutes in traffic. It wasn't
Yeah,
really bad drive
were
though.
you coming from Dulles?
Yeah, I think so because
Yeah,
usually
that's
they
why.
land me in
Yeah,
the one right there in D.C.
the
Was
one
it
in DC
Ronald
is
Reagan?
national. If you get off of national, if you have to go anywhere in DC, you're there in at least 20 minutes.
Yeah, because when I remember leaving there and driving to the Mandarin, it was only 15 or 20 minutes. It wasn't real far. But I remember time before last when I went in, that's where I landed. And I had to drive in. So getting back to what we were talking about, so all of these countries he showed you just now all have UFO presence. Brazil has a huge presence.
Yeah,
Venezuela had a pretty good president, but we don't really hear about it anymore because Venezuela has become a communist country.
yeah,
And
they've cut off pretty much social ties to everybody around them. I think, including us.
yeah, and well, I have a cousin there who's a mayor in some mountain town, some vacation town up there. Last I talked to him, he's still mayor. It wasn't that long ago either. Um, he's not anti his country. He just wants things to go back to a free country. But he's not going to go up against his government because all that's going to happen is going to get killed.
Yeah.
It'll take one of our governments to stop that stuff, and eventually, America, when we get the right president, we'll get
The
back
same thing's going to have
involved.
to happen in almost every conflict going on in the world. And if it comes to the point where World War III comes off, would ET stop the war? Would they, you know?
They haven't stopped any other war.
Yeah, but we haven't had this level of nuclear destruction available. I mean, there's more than 10,000
They didn't
weapons
stop 3
available.
Mile Island or
Yeah, but
Chernobyl
that's
or
our stupidity.
Fukushima.
But
Launching
if
nukes is
someone
our
were to launch their
stupidity too.
entire arsenal, don't you think they would stop it?
Nope,
But you don't think so?
I don't think
Wow,
so.
I think they would. I don't think they want to see the planet have that much
Okay,
radiation all at once.
first off, you thinking of this like a human. They have the ability to clean up the planet. If we
True.
kill each other off and they deploy their stuff out there and the planet's clean in less than a year, well, now they just have a planet they can use, and they didn't kill us off. It's not their fault. It's ours.
And who's to say they won't start warring against each other over it?
No, there's not gonna be no wars there. Nobody can take on the Greys except for the light beings, and the Greys work for the light beings. That's
Yes.
the only way you could really get a war going on is if you started, like 8 or 10 races, and if the light beings stepped in, it wouldn't matter anyway. Then you just get
So
your ass
if there are light beings, and we know that just about everything nature-wise in this universe, or at least in our part of the galaxy, we know this fact that everything has an immediate opposite. Everything has its food. Everything has its light and dark. So if there's light beings, where are the dark
remember,
beings?
they didn't come from this galaxy. They came from a
Right.
different
Yeah.
galaxy.
So there's
there
gotta
may
be an
not be they may
Wherever
not
they
be
came
an
from.
opposite here.
Oh, I beg to differ. If we can
And
infer
since
from our
their
galaxy that all other
galaxy
galaxies
died,
are the same, then there must be a dark.
the
being.
galaxies aren't made the same. That's the point. There is
But
no
we don't
other
know
light
that.
beings here. They're the only light beings here. They came here from a different galaxy. There wasn't any light beings before them here. They came from a different galaxy, and wherever they came from was a long ways away, and the galaxy was dead, which suggests their enemies were also dead.
Well, all I'm saying, and logic suggests that they should have
I agree, and in their
dynasty.
galaxy, I agree they probably did have one, and they
Yeah.
probably killed them, and then they came here where they don't have one.
Or their enemies got the better of them and they escaped. Who's to say they won't come here looking for them?
From the way they describe their galaxy, it doesn't sound like anything escaped.
No.
Sounds like they barely escaped. Yeah,
They did.
It almost sounds like that they deliberately did it to take care of whatever the problem was. Like that was the only option.
So what's stopping them from doing that to our galaxy?
Well, we're not trying to kill them. We all like them, and the Greys like them, and the other beings seem to like them just fine. So right now, I would imagine they could field an army of a couple of 100 trillion beings with weapons we haven't even thought about. So I don't know I don't really know if there's. I mean, I'm sure there's something out there that could go against them, but I don't know if there's anything nearby that could.
Essentially, from what we've described with what some of these races, their powers are of the powers of the mind, they essentially are like Jedi. They can look at you, they probably don't even have to point their hand at you. They can stop you and freeze your body just by looking into your brain with theirs.
I would say the Greys would make Luke Skywalker look like a child.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. They could look at us and look at a group of people and freeze everybody, kind of like what Charles Xavier does in the movies. I think they could also do like a force blast and push all those people to the ground, or push them 20, 30 feet backwards through the air, like you've seen in Star Wars. They could have weapons just like the lightsaber type of deal.
They probably just melt their brain. They'd probably just melt their brains.
Some people have suggested that.
But the light beings themselves can only be described as gods. They can travel through space without a ship as fast as they want to go. They can build worlds. They can build planets. They can destroy planets with thought.
They sound like the Kwisatz Haderach.
They sound way more powerful than he was.
Well, the same idea. I mean, he wasn't quite their level, but he can be anywhere,
everywhere. This is like the Q race on steroids, is what this is.
Yes, I would agree with that. But
but still, I don't know what that means for us. But
having Paul Atreides' power of he can be everywhere all at once. That means if you try to kill him, he's standing directly behind you anyway, so you're not going to get away with it. So that's pretty powerful. I mean, that's
unless you got 100 million light beings making you think that they're in different places and you don't know where the hell you are, and then you're dead.
True, but
there's only one of him, unfortunately.
Yeah, there is only one of him, but he is also a fictional being.
Well, the problem with all this is we don't really know what. All we know was what the reptilians, humans, Greys, and a couple other races had described the light beings as. Omnipotent super being that came here that's not hostile. They came to a galaxy that was just engulfed in war. By their own descriptions, this galaxy was engulfed in war. I mean, there was at least 10,000 or more races fighting it out. So there was just engulfed in war. Beings were dying all over the place. Humans, whatever you want to call them, were dying all over the place. And they didn't immediately step in. When they came in on the edge of a galaxy. They found the Greys, and they decided that would be the galactic policeman. They designed it so that they could go in and stop conflicts, so that they didn't have to. And it often made me wonder why they did that. Did they think it would be easier for the other races to accept them? Or were there not enough of them to go around at the time? Meaning the light beings, were there not enough of them to go around at the time?
I don't. Yeah. Well,
I mean,
you say they just had prevented a war here, so maybe some of them were lost in the war. And Robbo, we just talked about this. Joe thinks no. I think if, say, Russia launched its entire arsenal at us or at the world in general, I think they would prevent that kind of destruction. But
not even a little bit.
One or two, I don't think they would. They didn't stop us in Japan, so one or two, I don't think they care about. The whole thing, they might, because we don't. Joe says you said they might. They can probably clean it up, and I agree they probably can. But is it a pain in the ass for them? Is it take too long?
No, I think. Okay, let's look at this a different way. The Greys and the humans are supposed to be around 400 to 500 million years old. Okay, remember, we're not even 2 million years old yet, and look what we can do. The Greys are at least 1 billion years old and have been enhanced by the light beams. Yeah, I don't think cleaning the planet up is even a thing. And I imagine the light beams themselves would just come here and think with thought, and the planet would be clean and pristine, and even have animals back on it. I don't think that at this point they're so much worried about us. You got to remember, in some ways, they look us at as a danger because we possess reptilian, human, and gray DNA now, plus whatever DNA we originally started with was, which everybody knows. So these 4 DNAs, which means sooner or later we'll become an omnipotent super race. We may even be able to challenge the light beings in 100 million or 1 billion years.
Yeah, possibly.
Because we may achieve that because of the blood we have in us.
That is also a good question.
Do aliens have God? Well, I'll tell you this: the reptilians, humans, and Greys do believe in a God.
They also instill.
And by the way, so you know, they don't think it's the light beings either, even though in our grand scheme of things, we would consider them gods.
Right. They think it's something more grand than that. But we've also discussed that they gave us as a control method both the King's List and religion that our forefathers and forebears made into a way to control all of us.
Hey, Stephen. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Steve.
And well, our biggest problem is when you look at our planet, 90% of us want to be happy, live together, talk with each other, share things, and just be a race where everyone's enjoying their life. No one's starving to death. No one's living on the streets. There's no wars going on. And we're real close to there's no wars going on if we can get rid of Zelensky and Israel. I mean, there was no wars going on until stupid Russia started one. Even though we're not going to talk about Joe Biden tonight, but the thing of it is unfortunately there are wars going on, and Russia's going to use nukes. It's a matter of time before Russia uses a nuke because Zelensky won't stop going into Moscow.
And you can see Putin's becoming further and further. I mean, I don't want to say unhinged, but more and more angered at the fact that we're giving weapons to Zelensky that they can. I mean, he can at this point, if he were to become unhinged, Zelensky can attack Moscow and take it out right now with the weapons we've given him.
Yes, he could do a lot of damage. I don't know if he could take him out, but he could do a lot of damage. But meanwhile, Russia could launch 2 nukes and there would be no more Ukraine.
Yeah.
He would flatten
Ukraine's a fairly large place, but there's only 2 places he needs to hit: is Odessa and Kiev.
And that's pretty much done with.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if he wants, he could always blow up the fields as well. So, regardless, Putin's got 5,000 nukes.
I don't think he wants to blow up their fields because that's their breadbasket. I mean, that's their North America. If they don't have that, they don't have their basic cereals and breads.
So it's well, we don't even know what kind of nukes you'd use or where it would blow. But right now, I just
True.
can't see a reason why aliens would step in, especially if they're thinking about they would like to have this planet. If we blow ourselves up, it's an open invitation to them. Well, when they go in front of counts and say, "Hey, look, the stupid humans blew themselves up, so there's only a handful of them left. We're not going to let them have the planet anymore. They've lost stewardship to the planet because they're idiots." It might be all they're waiting on us to do, for that matter. See, people don't even think about it like that, but they may be waiting on us to do something that's stupid like that.
I even speculated that the reason they haven't destroyed us is because, for whatever reason, not only because we share all of their 3-4 DNAs, but also probably we've always heard about the war between heaven and earth, the war between heaven and hell, and all of that. And I think that's a true story, A, and B, something happened where maybe these 3 or 4 alien species or 5 alien species accidentally sterilized this planet, and they're recreating it to the point where it was about when they destroyed it, technology wise. And I think that's why they're not destroying us, but they're giving us the opportunity to do it ourselves. So we have to be, we have to put on the big boy pants and not shoot our goddamn nukes all over the place.
Let's be honest. We have had UFOs shut down nuclear bases in 5 countries.
We've had them turn on nuclear bases in several countries.
Yeah. So we know that they can handle our nukes, no problem. But they don't. They don't even bother. If they really wanted to, they could drop a TV message saying no more nukes and just turn off everybody's nukes. Matter of fact, they could even. Oh, that finally went off. They could even do. They could even probably pollute the plutonium on the planet so it can't be used anymore, or the uranium. I'm sorry, to such an extent that it can't be used anymore, or just mutate it. Either way, I mean, so it's. I mean, people have to remember they can do things in a much larger mass than we can. They have technologies that we don't know about, we don't understand.
Should we go over the galactic technological scale, whatever that's called again?
We're what are we, a -0?
We're at, well, some speculate we're like a 0.75 on a scale of 1 to 3, but they allegedly expanded it to up to 5 now.
Yeah, I thought they went to 5.
But the first level of galactic or universal civilization is solar system. They can travel throughout their solar system. They can control all the elements within their planet, and they can control and retain 100% of the energy emitted by their sun or suns, as most solar systems are multiple sun systems here. And we're not at that level. I mean, we can't even, what's the furthest thing out is Voyager 1, and it was launched, 72, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, so it's about 20 light years out, maybe? I don't even know if it's that far.
I don't think it's that far. It's more than several solar units for sure.
Oh, you know what? We know it's outside the solar system, so it's probably 5
it passed through the Oort cloud, which is what we kind of consider the boundary of our solar system.
Yeah, so maybe 4 maybe 3 light years, because it's not the Proxima. So it's probably about 2.5 to 3 light years out. 70 years to get 2.5 light years to 3 light years. That's pathetic, people. We'll never get anywhere at those kind of speeds.
Not 70 years, because I was born in 66, and I'm not quite 60 yet. So it's 50 some years.
All right, 50 something years.
Mm-hmm.
But still, that's a long time to get nowhere.
Yeah, but it has. That's what the Oort cloud, they suspect, is that's the extreme limit of our sun's gravitational influence. That's why we call it outside our solar system. But it's still a far, far way away. You can't even fathom the distance in your brains. None of us can.
Yeah, I believe, I'd have to go check, but I believe from our sun to the edge of the Oort cloud is like 2.2 light years. Don't hold me to it, ladies and gentlemen, because it's been a long time since I looked it up. I think because Proxima is 4 light years away. And by the way, our sun does have influence on Proxima, not moving things or anything like that, but you can actually feel the gravity in their system from our system. We probably can feel the gravity from their system and ours. We're 3, depending on what star which planet or which star you're talking about. We're the closest one, I think, is 3.8 light years away.
The closest star to us is 4.8 or 4.2 light years away.
You got 4.2 light years on, which I think is Proxima A, and then you've got 2 planets that are within 3.8 light years away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you ask, you have to ask correctly. Yes, because there are things closer than the sun, which you have to ask. And I noticed too that science disagree on distances sometimes. I've heard distances from 3.6 to 4.6 light years. So I'm not sure
Well,
why
we
there's
know
that
we know
much.
the light from the sun is affected by large gravitational forces. It can be sped up and slowed down. So there is a speed, force, if you will, within light. So you can go faster or slower than the speed of light, which is still incredibly fast. We can't even approach speeds like that.
No,
We're millions of years away from being that fast.
what is that, Jimmy? I don't. I'd have to go look and see 68,000 miles an hour or something.
What's
No, no,
that?
no. Light speed is 182 if I remember
No,
right.
the speed of light in miles is 186,000 miles per second.
Second. It's always per second. Yeah,
Yes.
keep that in mind. It's not per hour. It's per second. That's because it's hauling ass.
Yeah.
No, it depends, but we know
All
for a
right.
fact
There's a
because
little
of
bit of truth
Jupiter.
right there.
We know because of Jupiter that you can go faster than the speed of light and you can go slower than the speed of light. Because of light bending around Jupiter and being pulled around Jupiter, we now know that it's possible. Now, what does that mean for us? Nothing yet. What was that?
That's why when we were really early with some of our great space telescopes, we couldn't figure out why we were seeing stars that weren't there before. They were immediately behind the planet Jupiter, so you can't see them with the naked eye. The reason we could see them with our telescopes is because the light was bending around the planet and coming in front of it. It's basically like turning the planet into a looking glass, which is very, very cool. So you can see more than you actually can see in space. You just don't realize it until you think, oh, well, these stars actually map out behind that planet. How are we seeing it? Gravity.
What's that, Lativa? You talking about the Vatican?
Yeah.
I have met several people at the Vatican over the years. My very first person I've ever met of any consequence was Monsignor Balducci. I was introduced to him in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Press Club. We were both giving lectures there. He spoke very little English. He spoke Italian. And thank God Piola Harris was there, and she spoke Italian, so she translated for me. So altogether, I've talked to about 9 different people in the Vatican, some higher up than he is. And they all told me the same thing, that the Vatican has been aware of extraterrestrials for a long time, and that they feel, their words, I'm not making this up, their words, that the aliens are on a higher spiritual evolution than we are with God. I'm not shitting you. That's exactly what I was told. On everyone I talked to, including the astronomer, they all told me, both astronomers actually, both told me the same thing. That they were told that I talked to one bishop, one cardinal. I talked to a local bishop as well. And they said the same thing, that they felt that the extraterrestrials that were visiting this planet, their words, not mine, were in a higher evolutionary plane with the gods than we were, with God than we were.
Well, there's also the speculation that people have said that the Vatican archives is essentially like the Great Library of Alexandria. Allegedly, there are 3 repositories of all knowledge accumulated on Earth at that point. One was Alexandria, destroyed. 2 is the Vatican archives. That's Europe. I think the third one will be found in South America,
Probably
but
will be.
the speculation is that it's underneath the one of the legs of the Sphinx, which would put the third one in Africa. In any event, just think about that. What if Alexandria had prior knowledge of UFOs in its books in its library? I would imagine it would. Our libraries have those kind of books
Oh
in them.
yeah. It's I would imagine you would find in any of the great libraries something dealing. Well, I mean, all you have to do is look at the mid-century, the Dark Ages. There was tons of UFO material, and all the biblical stuff. There was alien. No, Jackie. So if you go look at a lot of the great artwork around anywhere from 300 to 500 BC, 600 BC, you'll find that a lot of it has extraterrestrials in it. There'll be something flying around the sky. And not only that, inside the thing flying around the sky, there will actually be someone sitting in it.
a dude.
Yeah,
Sometimes
something.
demons.
Yeah.
Sometimes a hairy demon.
So they think that's what it is. Well, I had no doubt that the Vatican knew that extraterrestrials were here. I had visited when I wanted to. There was a Bible I was trying to see that's it was put out in 800 A.D. And I was looking. I wanted to really get a look at it, so I was invited to a Catacomb 1, Catacomb 2, and there is so much shit down there, people. There is so much shit, and there's so much stuff that I did not have the clearance to go to. I mean, literally, there are just
There's a good one.
they're just one thing after another, after another, after another. There are writings in there that could probably change the way we look at mankind and the planet itself.
I agree.
And we probably won't get to see them for another 100 years at least.
If we're lucky. If we're lucky.
If we're lucky. Some of them may never be seen because some of them are too radical to be seen.
I mean, look, there's a stele.
You know, Rob, I lost a job because of that question. So I was working for a company, a big company, making good money too. We're talking back then $200,000 a year, which was a shitload of money because this is back in the 80s. So I asked one of my shift managers one time. I said, I wonder if if Jesus could have been an extraterrestrial. I got fired the next day. Oh no, the next day. I got a big, huge severance package. I get excellent references. Even to this day, if you call them, I still get excellent references. They gave no reason for terminating, which they don't have to by law. And they paid me up, and there was no way I could prove that it was because of this. And but sure enough, because they were a big religious, I should have known better. They were a big religious family. They adopted like 12 kids and had this big religion thing going on with them. And I imagine all the managers in there, except for me, were very religious. So she said somebody, and the next day, because I just got a raise like 2 days earlier. I'm not kidding you. 2 days earlier, I just got a raise. So I knew I wasn't in any trouble because the store was running great. It was making tons of money. It was a beach store. And back in the 80s, this store was generating $2 million a month, which today would be about 20. Yeah. And it's one of the biggest ones of its kind in the country. Hell, matter of fact, the only store bigger than it in the it was outside the U.S. was in Russia and Japan. Well, Moscow and Japan. I'm sorry. There's nothing I could do about it. They terminated, and it was, it was just one of them dumb things. I was talking with somebody, and we were just chit chatting. I was, I don't know, late 30s, and it just came out of my mouth without thinking about it. And sure enough, next day I was fired. And you could call, I mean, I'm not sure, you could call a day and they'd still give me an excellent reference. Best employee they ever had. They gave me like a 2-year severance package. That's unheard of in the field.
Yeah.
I was stunned. Oh, yeah. So, I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to go find a new job. And I was working within 2 weeks of it, but still, that's one of those things. So you got to watch what questions you believe, because it is possible that Jesus was an extraterrestrial. So when you talk about, we're going to be talking about this in I think what we said 2 weeks on News and Flip Side, but maybe no, it's going to be longer than that because we got the election coming up, so about 3 or 4 weeks. Well, we got this Friday, and then next Friday, and then Wednesday, if I remember right. Hold on, let me look, and I'll tell you.
12. It's 12 days, I think. 12 days and 70 hours.
So we got this Friday, the 21st. I mean, the 25th, and then we've got the Friday the 1st, and then we got Tuesday the 5th. So we got 3 shows that'll be politically based, and then we'll probably do one on the 12th, and then after that, probably on the one that we do on the 19th, we'll probably do this discussion about.
Okay.
And
24 presidential election countdown clock.
So yeah, we are. What is 7, 8, 13 days away as of right now.
12 days, 4 hours, 48 minutes.
What the hell? You're an hour ahead of me. That's why. It's.
I guess yeah, yeah.
What's that, Jackie? Well, today's the 23rd, right? So that's 7 days, but there's 8 days in the month because it's 31 days. So 8 and then 5. 8 and 5 is 13, so that should be 13. But he's actually right because we're past the hour count now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's just how because we're into the anyway. Don't worry about it. It's what it is. It's what it is. But anyway, so on those days, so you will hear us talking. Yes. So on October 25th, which is this Friday, we will be wreaking havoc. Oh, and by the way, we got all kind of stuff to talk about, y'all. My friends that are in the blue might not be happy on this show, so be prepared. Bring your stuff with you. The first will be the show where we're all like, holy crap, we're 4 days out. What's going to happen? And then, of course, we will all be here Tuesday night, ranting and raving on the 5th about who's going to win this, whatever you want to call this. Well, you know what? I agree. I agree that there's been problems in the elections for the last 16 years. I agree with that, which I don't want to get into the show. It's for Friday night. But in some ways, it's made them more interesting. Well, it can be boring some years. I mean, there's been years where it's just you knew this guy was going to win, this guy was going to win. You know, so, but anyway, be here Friday. Leah said something about stripping, so I don't know what that means.
Ooh.
I think she meant paint off the walls, but still.
Nope. Those days are long gone.
Oh, man. No, man. You got a dirty mind. I was talking about stripping paint off the wall, Jackie. You should shame on you. Anyway, getting back to what we were talking about.
Do I look like? No.
Well, everybody looks bad on some days. Trust me. There are days I scare my own self. Man, just to put this in perspective, I'm walking around these blue shorts the other day. Now I got big thighs, big legs. I seen myself in the mirror. I look like a chicken-ass bird leg freak. I was like, what? I said, how can I do? Because, I mean, my legs are huge. I'm kind of like, okay, that's just weird. No, that was weird. But anyway, enough about all of that. Y'all don't need to know about my chicken-ass bird leg. So getting back to what we were talking about, so the Mesoamericans have a lot of information that suggests that aliens were here. The Christians have a lot of information, but it's not just them. So when we switch over to the Muslims, they talk about the jinns and the genies and a bunch of other stuff. So when you start listening to Muslims talk, they talk quite a bit about what we would consider extraterrestrials.
Yes. Absolutely.
So that's the Middle East. Now it gets a little sketchy. No, Europe has a shitload of.
But jinn means like bad spirit.
Well, I'm sure we want to convert it in. Well, that's what you would think if the alien grabbed you by the hand, drug your ass kicking and screaming, threw you into a UFO and probed your ass. That would be a bad spirit.
There are actually several different types of jinn. There are Efreet, there are jinn, there are genie, like 5 or 6 different like species of them. But what the Muslim faith thinks is that they are all made out of smoke. Like they're like
that kind of smoke. Oh no, y'all are no fun.
No, not that kind of smoke. Just they're like their form is smoke.
Oh no, that's right. They don't smoke that shit in the Middle East, do they? They smoke hashish, don't they?
They smoke hashish.
Yeah, they smoke the good
all
stuff.
Kinds of different colors over there.
Look at me get my hookah out, man. I'm getting my hookah out. I'm sorry. What were you saying there? Lee, I apologize.
Whatever the being was that I saw, which resembled a short gray, had a smoky aura around it. Like it had like, I don't know how to explain it. It seemed to have like a light emitting from it, and it had, I don't know. I wouldn't say
maybe
smoke,
it was something to
like,
throw the scene off, like a blur filter. Maybe it was just something. You know, you can put a blur filter.
I saw it plain as day. There was no blur to it.
Well, no, I don't necessarily mean it was blurry. I just mean it might have been like an effect that they used for whatever reason. I don't even pretend to understand how the grays work. I mean, why do they do good cop, bad cop? But they do. And why do they show up in cloaks sometimes with old grinny ass red eyes? But they do.
Well, that's one of the things that people always ask is, what are they like? And I tell people, it says it in the Bible. If any of those 3 races are responsible for us, they said, let us make him in our own image, meaning let us make him look like us. And then they said, and in our own likeness. So let's give him the same habits as we have. So we're both good and bad, evil and what have you. We think along the same lines as them is, maybe they're on a different spiritual plane, like they said, but they have grievances. They've had wars. The Bible talks of the war between heaven and hell, which is between 2, deity forms. I mean, think about that.
Why'd I have to be drugged into it?
Well, it appears to be an actual real history. It's written in so many different languages and so many different. I mean, think about this: the Sumerians create written language, 6,000 years ago, or at 6,500 BC, so like 18,000 years ago, right? 20-some thousand years ago, they invent language. But the first book they write is like Star Wars. They write a sci-fi book for people who can't even read. It makes no sense. It has to be history. It's either it's true or it's the best piece of fiction ever written because it's been repeated by every other culture around them.
See, that's the thing. Why do some of the things in ancient worlds repeat themselves like that? Why are they doing? Why do we find things like Angkor Wat which was abandoned, but definitely had UFOs involved?
Not only abandoned, but higher than regular background radiation, indicating something nefarious. But the radiation is degraded to the point where they can't say, but it's higher than normal. And then it was also intentionally buried. It was buried on purpose.
That's Easter Island, right? Remember all the big heads at Easter Island? Everybody thought it was just the heads, and then we found out there was freaking whole bodies underneath.
They were also buried, but not intentionally.
But they were buried all the way up to the next, not just the front ones, all the way around the island. As a matter of fact, I was watching a special about this the other day.
Do you know how that happened? One of the many tidal waves brought a bunch of silt with it. That silt settled on top of Rapa Nui, and bloop, there you have buried 9 foot tall or however tall this is.
And that's what the guy was talking about. Like 16 feet, but the guy was like, well, it depends which one you're talking about. Actually, they go from like 3 feet up. But the guy was talking about that. He said, but the problem with that is none of the ruins weren't covered. He said that it couldn't have picked. He said that because he thought that's what happened. He thought a wave came in and covered everything. He said, but it would have covered the ruins too, but the ruins weren't covered. Now, that doesn't mean somebody didn't come by and dig out the ruins later on. We just don't know. But he said they weren't ruined. So because they weren't ruined.
But that is one of the best working theories as to how they got all buried.
Good theory. Yeah, I was going all for it.
Right up to the neck.
Yeah, I was all in for it. And then when he said that about the ruins, I was kind of like, well, so the thing about it is, so if the ruins weren't buried by it, then we know that's not what caused it. If it was dug out, then we know that is what caused it. So they need to figure out whether the ruins were dug out. That's what they need to work on next. And once they know that, I mean, if they know it was dug out, then they can just put this into the book saying this is how all this happened. If they don't, then they're going to have to think this was maybe done on purpose. And there are a couple of places they did notice where there were some pretty deep pits dug.
Well, there's also a good segue here too, Joe.
Okay.
So the statues at Rapa Nui or Easter Island, once uncovered all the way, and I forget how tall they're, 13 feet.
I'd have to look them up. I know they had different ones at different. I know there was a group at the same site. The big ones were all the same height, but then they didn't. They had other sizes. I have to turn my camera on for this one. Well, in any event, all the statues are depicted the same way. They're all standing straight up, and they have their hands around their waist like this. And then they're right below that is an ornate belt. Let's just say that same pose is found at that place you just mentioned moments ago. Göbekli Tepe. And then also at the other place in Turkey, the same motif as a gentleman standing straight up with his hands like this at his waist above an ornate belt holding weird pouches. And that motif they shouldn't be that far apart if there was no contact with ancient peoples. But yet again, we find clear evidence that there was a race of people that spanned the globe.
Well, what do you guys know about this whole mud flood thing?
Which mud flood thing?
I don't know. I always see it talked about when in conjunction with Tartaria.
I don't know. It's we know the planet was covered we know the planet was covered a couple of times in water and mud. We know it was covered in water at least twice, and we know one of them was a major one because they found fish buried up on Mount Everest. So it got pretty deep for a while, but nobody knows where the water went. It all froze up. Well, there's not that much water. There's not that much ice on the planet. If you melted all the ice on the planet, you're looking at maybe a 2 or 3 foot rise, not not no 300 or 600-foot rise. So nobody really knows where all that came from. It's
There are
strange.
also fish and seashell bits and pieces, millions of them on the mountain of Tiwanaku, where the Pumapunku is.
Yeah, and we do know at one time, like in the Americas, some of these mountains were underwater, but that's not how it's supposed to be in other places in the world. Like Everest was never supposed to be underwater. So
No.
I'm a little confused by it. I'm sure. I'm sure they've got some explanation for it. None that I've heard recently, though. So what did they think the population on this planet was? 2 or 3 thousand Polynesians. Oh, I didn't even know they considered. I should have known it was Polynesians, being where it was at. It won't give me the average height. Damn it! That's what I came looking for. They got too much other BS in here. They won't give you the average height. I'm about to find a regular site. Wiki, you're useless these days, man. Wiki got to the point where they're just useless. Ladies and gentlemen, there's actually a show on this. We did a whole show on the Eastern Island on the Gray's Home. You should go check it out. Well, it's what Jay and I were talking about. Why they got buried? Was it just a wave that washed them and buried? The same thing that buried the city, and the city's off the coast of India. I mean, that's what we're trying to figure out. Is that what's actually happening, or is it something else? And right now, I'm leaning into the theory that it got covered by the wave, but because of the whatchamacallit's not being covered, the rest of the place not being covered, the ruins and stuff, it makes it hard to know for sure. But no, see, and there's actually drawings of UFOs on there. There seems to be all throughout the ancient world, whether it's the Egyptians, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incans, the Toltecs were very little known about, but even they had some UFO drawings. Well, for some reason, the Toltecs didn't keep really good records. Even though they grew and made very big cities and were birthers of other civilizations, they didn't seem to keep very good records for some reason or another.
No, but they did have some pretty neat art. Not just the UFOs. There's also depictions in South American on some of the ceramics and pottery. Human beings riding dinosaurs.
Yeah, I've seen that in other parts of the world too. And since we
Yeah.
didn't really know what a dinosaur looked like at the time, you got to kind of wonder where they see that at.
And guess what? It shows the dinosaurs having some of them
Wait, say that again.
feathers. Guess what? It shows the
Oh, well,
dinosaurs
you know,
having feathers.
well,
Some of them.
a lot of
Laser
people think that's how they got here. What was that, Boo?
Laser beams. The
No, those
dinosaurs
are
had
sharks. Those are you put laser beams on sharks. I want
Just
freaking sharks with laser beams.
We're talking. He's talking about Sharknado, man.
No, I'm talking about Austin Powers.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Austin Powers.
Yeah.
So looking at these statues, a lot of these statues are different. They're not the same statues. They have different builds, different faces.
Yeah, but the pose is the same. Are the hands not at the waist?
The hands are at the waist. But see, like
More
these
fingers, more
three or
age
four, the
belt.
hands wrap around. These they don't. These, the heads are shaped different. These, the noses are shaped different.
Yep.
This one's
Well,
taller than the rest.
if you go to Guatemala, there are a series of carved boulders, round boulders that are carved into human faces. There's Native American faces, there's European faces, there's Asian faces, there's African faces. So you tell me. I mean, I went to public schools. I went to private schools. You tell me, when did these people not have contact? If those faces were legitimately carved 3, 4, 5, 10,000 years ago, how is it that we never had any contact? History's
Well,
wrong.
you were,
History's
yeah,
100%
no.
wrong.
Well, we know history's wrong in a lot of ways. You were right, averaging around 13 feet, 4 meters, 13 tons. And they say, let's see, Easter Island suggests 3 distinct cultures, phases. Earliest one was 700 to 850 AD. And then there was another period from 1050 to 1680. And then they don't have the other one listed for some reason. But they do think there was 3 distinctive. What the hell they eat? There's nothing on the damn island.
Yeah, there are no trees either.
There's no trees. There's no nut, which is weird because every island out there has trees on it, at least
That's
palm
not
trees.
that's not the weird thing, Joe. The weird thing is that there's no metals hard enough on the island to carve the stone statues that are on the island.
Well, that depends what. So first time I heard that, I was like, well, that's true, and then somebody told me they're carved out of volcanic rock. Well, if that's true, you can just use hard stone to carve it with.
Yeah, but where's the hard stone?
Well, I don't know. It might be something buried under the ground. It's got to be sitting on a rock somewhere.
That's the thing. People say the Egyptians made or built the pyramids. Show me their tools. Show me their building plans. You cannot build those precision buildings without having an architectural plan to build from, right? You have
you have to have one if you're going to build one correctly.
You have to.
Oh, now I seen, was it somebody the other day, was it ancient aliens? Somebody said they were built by giant robots from the aliens.
Oh, please. The other times they say they were built by levitation by spaceships and saucers.
But you know what? There might have been 1 or 2 people on the planet that could do levitation. It would explain what? Carl Castle, because no one knows how the hell that guy built Carl Castle. It would explain the pyramids, and it would explain Stonehenge.
There's one really good. I don't know if you do it. You can maybe do a search on Google and find it. There's one good black and white film of him, 16 millimeter, I think, and he shows how he lifts the stone. He has like this. It kind of looks like a lance, and it's sitting on top of a triangle or a cone with a very pointy top, and he just with one finger pushes down on it like one of those gates when your car passes by in Europe. The gate goes up. He just pushes down on it, and this big huge rock, goes up in the air.
That's what I'm saying. It's some form of levitation. At least that's what they think.
That's a fulcrum. That's not levitation. It's a physical. We have those. The Egyptians who allegedly built the pyramids had not discovered the fulcrum yet, nor the wheel, nor the compass.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to have the wheel for sure.
You need to build a precisionally, crafted building to point at the North Pole. Can't do it without a detector for the North Pole. You simply cannot do it. I'm sorry. You have to have that technology.
What's that, Jenny? Well, the Egyptians knew a lot. We just don't know how they knew what they knew. I mean, they mapped precession on the planet to 2 degrees, which is what our computers map to today.
We went over this in my art class.
Technically, it was 4 degrees,
honestly. And I told the teachers even then, because I've looked up many times, the Egyptians of the 25th dynasty, 1,000 years later, they had the wheel, the fulcrum. They even had chain. They didn't have chainmail, but they had chain, and they had the lodestone or the compass. Yeah. Without the compass, you cannot point a building directly north and be within 0.025% of it, or however just minutely off they are.
So, Jack, if and you'd have to know what day it was rising exactly. So there is a way using the North Star. But you have to know, and I don't know if there was a way for them to know the exact day. True north is true north. You can look at Venus, but still, you'd have to know when it was coming and cracking over the top. And I couldn't tell you right now. I couldn't go outside and look at it and tell you. I'd have to have
someone keeping diligent time, like some sort of timepiece.
And I mean, I do know the Egyptians, just like the Chinese, were great astronomers, but were they that good? I don't know.
Yeah,
they did figure out the wobble of the Earth to 4 degrees. So I got to give them credit for that. We figured it out.
It takes us like an advanced computer, like the computer you have in your phone could figure it out. But back in the 60s, that took a bank of computers that filled an entire room to do that kind of math. Could the Egyptians?
But it's even better than that. Think about that. They figured out how to line up the Sphinx. Oh, we'll leave the Sphinx out.
They didn't have that kind of math either. The Egyptians.
Somebody else probably built the Sphinx. It looks like it's older than the rest of them. But we'll just say we'll just use the Orion pyramids, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
So somebody built these 3 pyramids and lined these things up perfectly with Orion at 12,500 years ago.
Well, actually, the date that they would meet would be 10,500 BCE.
Yeah, which is 12,500 years ago. Yeah,
for those 3 stars, it's Lab. I can't remember them. They're weird.
So
Attack is one of them.
you switch over when you go from 80 to BC. That's where you're gaining a 2,000 years at. That's why 10,500 BC is 12,500 years ago. Sorry, guys, because there's 2,000 years of history now, AD. Yes, 10,500 is 10,500 years BC. And then there's 2,000, well, it's 2,024 years AD now. So that's 12,574 years at this point. Yeah, see, look how easy I figured that out, because that's nothing to figure out. But trying to figure it out.
There is no year zero, by the way.
Trying to figure. Yeah, there isn't. So trying to figure out. You're sitting in a pyramid. You're building a pyramid for the pharaohs and the priest, and you're trying to line this up. Now, in all fairness to the priest and the pharaoh, they might not have known if it was lined up with Orion at the time.
Actually, it's impossible, because the Egyptians of the 4th dynasty that allegedly built the pyramids, they had a math based on the number 25. In order to build that building, again, you need the concept of math using a 0 and possibly 10s or 12s like we use. But you have to have some sort of uniform math based on 0. They didn't have it. Well, no, you could not calculate the stars without math of starting with 0.
Well, Johnny, gets worse than that, because the Sphinx lines up with Leo at the same time at 12,500 years. And according to the Egyptians, the Sphinx was built 10,000 years earlier. So,
but did you hear? I think it was not Robert Schoch. The guy maybe it is Robert Schoch. Yeah, I think it's Robert Schoch. He says that the hindquarters of the Sphinx look more like the hindquarters of a dog, like type of dog.
And some people have said that. Some people say
they think it might have been Anubis, not what's his face.
And some people say that, but there is one picture that was found, which is a lion. So it lines, because the Sphinx does line up with Leo the lion at 12,500 years. So
yes,
I'm thinking it was a lion. But
Robert Bovall and John West did that math, and they've been.
Well, Chris, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about best proof of extraterrestrials in the past. Now, you just heard Jay and I talk about these pyramids and the Sphinx. Now, wait, it gets better. Angkor Wat lines up with Draco at 12,500 years ago. The Easter Island lines up with the Seven Sisters at 12,000. The main statues line up with Easter Island at the Seven Sisters at 12,500 years ago.
Yeah.
The Sphinx, not the Sphinx, Stonehenge, I can't remember what it lines up with. That one out of my head, but it also lines up with a constellation. So you've got, I think, 7 or 8 monuments on this planet that line up with constellations at 12,500 years ago. Now, we don't know, like the Great Library or the Great Lighthouse, if they did too, because they've been destroyed. We don't know. But we do know these did. So wait a minute. So it's one thing saying the Egyptians said, okay, the Egyptians figured it out. Okay. Well, Angkor Wat wasn't the Egyptians.
No. But they found evidence of Egyptian writing in both Australia, North America, and they've also found Viking writing deep into North America, like Minnesota or Michigan even, I think.
That doesn't surprise me, because Vikings were explorers. I have no doubt they went indeed. Why they left is beyond me, but if they wouldn't have left, America would be a Viking.
Probably they were outnumbered by Native Americans that had bows and arrows, and they did not have missile weapons. So I would think that's a good reason to run.
It's what was that, Mikey? No. You're talking about Columbus? No, they had guns and cannons and shit. What are you talking about? They had bows too, but they had guns and cannons. They didn't need no bow. They just blow your ass up and shoot you with a gun. That's part of it. But the reason we're bringing this all up is because somebody or something had to teach them this. Way back when somebody taught this 3, 4, 5, 6,000 years ago. And if you go by the Sphinx 10,000 years ago, somebody was teaching the people of this planet how to do precession. Yeah. That's advanced math for anybody. Even today, advanced mathematicians,
like I said,
doing it by hand is not an easy thing.
0 in order to do those calculations. The Egyptians of the dynasty that allegedly built the pyramids had a math based on 25. the most inaccurate type of math you can possibly imagine.
And remember, people, when we do it today, when we go back to see what lines up with what, we use computers. We don't even do it by hand.
Yeah, that's what I said. To do the moonshots, it took banks of computers. It took rooms, the whole room,
Oh, yeah.
the whole basement of NASA, just to calculate what day to launch to, hit the moon correctly.
Oh,
Because if
Denise,
they miss, those 3 men go sailing off towards Jupiter and die.
Denise, I'm not saying the math couldn't have been done by hand, because everything that was done for the Apollo was checked by hand. So we know it can be done by hand, but you're taking more risk when you do something by hand. When you
if you look at the historical documents, including NASA's own recordings plus the movie Apollo 13, they had like a pre-made form for the calculations they need. All they had to do was type in like gimbal readings and things off of their instruments into these mathematical formulas already on paper, or I think they even had like grease pen cards. They could write and erase it without destroying the paper, like on a laminated card. That makes it a lot easier, but they still had a computer that was, the size of a vacuum cleaner on board that machine.
Yeah. Was it done? Oh, no, dude. Computers back then were nothing you want to play with today.
They
didn't even have operating systems.
They needed air conditioning.
They didn't even have operating systems like you think of an operating system today. Everything was running DOS.
The systems before that are even more complicated. The first IBM computer consisted of 3x5 punch cards. They had you ever seen a player piano? It had little dots and squares and rectangles punched out of it, and each card had to be in a particular sequence. And there wasn't 10 of them or 20. There were thousands of them, and if one of them was out of sequence, the computer didn't work right.
And then the next thing was reel to reel. Yes, we used magnetic
reel to reel. Mm-hmm. And still using tube technology. So massive air conditioning needs required.
And then somebody invented solid state, and away we went with the microchip world.
Exponential.
Because nowadays, the computer under my desk right over there, that 24 core with 256 gigs of RAM and 10 terabytes of memory, could not only just run the Apollo program, but it could run the Apollo program and the shuttle program and still have room and speed left over.
Let's put it in even more simple terms. This thin, long, you might even call it a phablet. That's my cell phone. The energy and computer processing problems in this machine are the same thing. It could run all 3 of the stages of our moon program without losing any memory.
On your cell phone, yes.
My cell phone alone could do all, Apollo, Gemini, the other one, all 3 of them, no problem.
Well, no, he's right. I mean, I'm running this one right here in my hand, 8 core, 256 gigs of RAM, and it's fast as hell. No. The one on the floor is a 24 core.
16 gigabytes of memory that they could put on those machines. 16. Think about it, kids. You go and buy a machine for your music. You want 16 gigabytes or the 1 terabyte?
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because the very first computer I ever owned at home had a drive, wasn't even a gig. Yeah, and I remember when I got my one with Windows 301 on it and a barefoot drive. Now the barefoot drive, people, was this big, and this thick. It was 1 gig. It was 1 gig. I probably still got one laying around here, and I had a 5.5-inch floppy disk on it.
I remember those. A big square like this with a magnetic disk inside of it.
Yeah. And for the day, it was smoky fast. For the day, you would throw it in the garbage.
But
Z-Gen and X-Gen couldn't
my
handle it.
Dad was smart. We had the IBM. I forget which number. It was the pizza box. It was this huge thing. I mean, it was as big as a stereo, and we had 2 drives, 2 5.5 drives, and then we got the upgrade with 1 3.5, which was like right before the plastic ones, but it still was a plastic. It was a little smaller than the 5, but the black cardboard, I guess, and then the magnetic disc inside. We had those 3, and all of the games we played were 2 discs. You had to have 2 disc drives to play these games. If you didn't have 2 disc drives,
that was the 3-inch drive.
You would constantly be doing this. It was a pain in the butt.
Jack, no, they were floppy drives. That's what they call them back in the day.
Floppy disk drives.
Yeah, and you had to back up everything with those.
Yeah, it was no better.
A couple of companies I worked for, I would sit there and be popping disc in for an hour. It'd be 10, 15, 20 discs. Well, because a decent program, would take all 20 of the disc.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't just a disc; it was also the information involved.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got my first one at home that had a CD in it. Yes, I think it was 250 megahertz. Yes. Oh, I'm running 24 gigs right now, people. The one I'm on right now, this is an 8-core running 128 gigs. And it's way more than I need for what I'm doing. This computer could do all sorts of stuff. I use it as but anyway, enough of all that. We got to get back to what we were talking about. Why they keep taking Leah and thinking she's an alien. Well, sometimes they just think you're an alien and they just take you and probe you and put you back. No, they don't do none of that. I'm sorry, people. Don't want to give anybody any horror stories, but
Right?
we were talking about you being probed as an extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
She's part of the probing squad. So some humans get to go around and probe other humans now.
What?
Yes, and they got electric probing sticks. Well, I had one right around here somewhere.
Special.
Well, y'all lucky. If I had it, I'd probe y'all, but I ain't got it right now. Yes, I can just show y'all over the internet, and it'll probe you via the internet. Yes. Yes. Well, damn, where'd it go? Huh, somebody snatched that out of my room. Anyway, it's usually right there behind me. What's that, Jackie? So getting back to what we were talking about. So the more you look in the ancient world, the more you find that's extraterrestrial related. I mean, it's just too much. We barely touched on anything tonight because we've been moving around because we're talking about a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much of it. And there's tons of pictures, tons of artwork, tons of things.
The buildings at Pumapunku should be evidence enough. The pyramids should be evidence enough. But mainstream science refuses to see the evidence. It's right there in plain sight.
It is in a lot of ways, and they just don't want to talk about it because, okay, I can kind of understand the Vatican. I'm not going to hate on the Vatican. I understand the Vatican for the simple fact that they've got their God to protect, even though they believe.
Again, it comes down to control. They don't want to lose control. Yeah. Same with the governments. They don't want to lose control over the money. I mean, how much money does the U.S. government make? Trillions of dollars a year, and they're still in debt. And like, what are we, $39-something trillion in debt right now?
We're making 36 trillion, so it's ridiculous. Well, no, Jack. So when they tell you 2 or 3 trillion or 4 or 5 trillion, that's the actual government. When they tell you 36 or 38 trillion, that's America's what America makes. It's 38 trillion a year, or 30. It's 36, 38 trillion a year.
It's a lot of money.
Yes. No, China is somewhere around 11 or 12 trillion.
They should be at our level, but Trump put so many tariffs on them. They're taxed beyond
Trump
belief.
Kicked Ping in the balls, and he's never recovered since.
Yeah. Well, if he gets elected again, he's going to kick him there again, and he's not going to recover.
No, well, because we shouldn't let them. I mean, they're an enemy to our country. Before they weren't. They were trying.
No balloons over sensitive military installations.
Yeah, but I mean, a while back they were trying to be friendly, and then they hooked up with Russia and became assholes again. Yes, Jack. I mean, they just because they want what we have, but they don't want to be like us. So China wants to be the United States, but with a communist tint. So China really don't care if like their governors and mayors and local PD and all them people get elected. They'll go for that. But when it comes to running the country, the Communist Party does that, and they don't want to let go of that. And as we know from hundreds of other communist countries over the years that have gone and come, communism doesn't work. Look at Cuba. Cuba was out without light for what, 4 days, 3 days?
Still is, I think.
Look at Venezuela. There's no communist country on this planet that's doing well. China was, but look at China. China's in a shithole now. They're crashing too. Communism doesn't work. What do you mean democracy doesn't work? I don't know. We're not a democracy. Don't even argue. You'll lose this argument. We're not in that. All right, Jeremy. I'm only going to say this because this is not the show we do. There's a little thing called the internet. Type in what the United States is politically, and you're going to find that it's not going to come up as a democracy. It's going to come up as a republic.
It'll say Democratic Republic.
Yeah. So
Why does the Democrat Party keep saying we're a democracy?
because they need something, because
Because
they're
they're idiots.
ignorant and they don't know the Constitution. That's why. Anybody who says that doesn't know their country. The country is a republic. And it pretty much says that when you hear them reading from the Constitution, it talks about us being a republic. It's for some reason or another. See, I think it should be mandatory. And we'll talk about this on Friday. If you're going to serve in the Senate or the House or President, you should have read the Constitution. Really, you should have read it and all of its amendments. I mean, come on. It doesn't take that long. A couple of days, you get past it. But anyway, enough about all of that. What's that, Bruce?
Yeah, that's Friday show.
Oh, yeah, that's Friday's show. We're going to be into it deep. We got a lot of stuff to cross on Friday's show.
Coming down to it. Fireworks haven't even begun.
Well, you just heard Jay and I talk about the dates. So what was it? The 25th, the 1st, and the 5th. So that's what you're going to see us. You're going to see us this Friday. Woo! And there's some good stuff to talk about this Friday. I mean, a lot. And then, oh, yeah, there's been a lot of changes in the election this week. And then you will see us. You'll see us on the 1st talking about it to bring in whatever changes has happened. So last 4 weeks, it's been changing consistently. It switched its direction and moving in a different direction. This week was even, for the other candidate, was even a better movement for him. As of right now, Uncle Humpty Trumpty is ahead in 4 national polls.
You guys hear about his McDonald's stint?
Yeah, I thought that was cool as hell, man. I wish I would have been there to go get me some.
Did you hear what McDonald's said?
That it was staged?
Of course it was staged.
Of course it was staged. But you know
how
what
could
they
it
said
not be staged?
You know what they said about Kamala? Let me rephrase the question. Do you know what they said about Kamala Harris?
No.
That she never worked for their company.
She said the company that actually she said she worked for, the McDonald's, they went through their records and couldn't find any records, so they sent to corporate.
But could you really count that staged event that was like they closed down the McDonald's and they had
of course you can.
Everyone in his work.
He used it in his rally in North Carolina where he spoke for nearly 2 hours, and this is for Friday show. But yeah,
yeah, Friday show.
Yeah, but of course you can. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what he did. That's actually think of it this way. Think about before we move on. Think about it this way. All the media, all of the Democrats, and most of the Republicans are still talking about it.
And McDonald's stock just went up like 10% with him just walking.
They're still talking. Well, it had gone up, but then they got listeria. One person killed, 40 injured. So now the stock went back down. Ain't that a bitch, man?
Oh, wow.
Trump helped him, but what is Trump's luck to go to a company that, No, I think it was E. coli, actually, Jackie. I think it was E. coli, actually. I said listeria. I think it was E. coli. There was one death from a Whopper. Not a Whopper. I'm sorry, wrong company.
Did you say Trump gave somebody E. coli?
No. It wasn't even at the store he was at. But McDonald's had, one store had a E. coli that killed one person and 39 others got sick. So people are trying to say, oh, it was Trump. But Trump wasn't even, it was nowhere near Trump. So, well, of course, Chris, it was staged. You couldn't, people trying to kill him, man. You couldn't do it any other way. I mean, come on. But anyway, that's enough about all of that. We're not getting into that. Friday, you can ask as many questions as you want about that. We don't mind. You can ask away. Yeah. Why not? Just ask away. You mean why? What do you mean? Why would extraterrestrials want to build monuments? Well,
but they're not necessarily monuments. They had to have some purpose.
Well, I mean, Angkor Wat was just a massive
units that made energy, and the pyramids in South America actually have rooms inside, usable rooms. So they were used for something.
Yeah, and I mean, well, we know Angkor Wat was like, we know Stonehenge was being used for stuff. We know a lot of this stuff was being used. We know the pyramids were being used for something. We don't even know what some of these shafts and rooms were for. We're still trying to find out all that stuff.
Well, if Chris Dunn is right, the residues found inside the Great Pyramid that he was able to study are the same chemicals that create a type of hydrogen energy. So maybe
all right, here y'all go. Here's some artwork, some ancient artwork.
Oh yeah.
So there you go. I don't know what this is. It's even got the Eye of Ra on it.
Yep.
Poly contact, fire course, first contact spaceship. I don't know. Well, no, we're going to just flip through them and see what we see. Ooh, this looks badass. Whatever this is. See, I
The
don't know.
light, that's fake. That's AI.
I've actually seen this before. I've actually seen this before. Yeah, I don't know. And it may still be fake. I'm not.
I've seen the pyramid before,
Okay,
and
so this is what it looks
maybe
like.
those figures, but
See these two ships? They're on a different hieroglyph, along with what looks to be a car and a saucer. They're on a different hieroglyph, so I think that's where they took this from.
those are from the Dendera Stele.
Now this is a legit picture here. This is an art picture.
I've seen this one, yeah.
This was
Who
actually
painted
painted. I don't know if it's going to tell us or not.
View page. Hit view page. What is that?
Let's see, view page. Let's see. Okay, maybe it's not gonna
There's a couple actual paintings in that image.
Yeah, there's a bunch on this list.
Yeah,
so
they're all the famous ones. Yeah.
So as you can see, people, this is one of the things. I think Mary was at this one right here, the one we're looking at right here.
Yeah.
And then you've got other ones that come through. Like this, you can see there's a ship right here with something in it. There's another
it's a
ship
triptych,
right
yeah. So that's what the break is in the middle. It's a 3-piece artwork.
Yeah. So, no, we're gonna scroll through them here. I think they're back on this other page. Yeah, let's go over here. Oh no, I closed the whole damn page. Sorry guys, wasn't paying attention to what I was doing there. Damn it. Sorry about that. We only got a couple minutes, but I'll see if we can pull them up right quick. Where's that, Jeremy? Now, there's a lot of weird stuff. There's a lot of weird stuff out there, but you're gonna find hundreds of these pieces. We did a special a long time ago. But how many of these pieces of artwork you could find? We literally found hundreds of these pieces of artwork. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Dendera Stele we've mentioned. They showed it on Ancient Aliens a bunch. There's a modern day, what looks like a modern attack helicopter. What we call the what is that? The Black Hawk. There's another one that looks like it looks exactly like a Sikorsky freight helicopter. If you know what that looks like from silhouette, it's on this stele. There's also a thing that looks kind of exactly like Luke Skywalker's land speeder. And there's one thing that looks exactly like and unquestionably like a modern Los Angeles class submarine. There's no other way to describe those 4 or 5 images.
Yeah, there are some really good ones that are hard to deny what they are. Okay, let's look up here and see what we got. So I remember seeing this one right here, this big monstrous looking thing.
Yeah.
I forgot.
One of the first images I ever saw.
It's there, and then of course they got this little Chinese one, and then this is the one we just saw to the right.
Yeah.
Of course, we just saw that one, which I'm still with. See, I've never seen these before. I have to be with Jay.
It's definitely
now, this
AI.
is legit. Them other two, I just don't think are real.
It could be AI.
Yeah.
Well, that says stock. Go back. That's stock Adobe.
Oh, you know what? Let's go back for a minute.
That's fake too. Yeah, they're all fake.
So let's see something. Let's go back. See, I've actually seen this one before.
I've seen that image before on another, but it looks like it's taking images from all over and just like, see, there it is again.
Yeah, I've seen this one before with the
but it's the same UFO. You wouldn't see that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this is supposed to be.
It looks like water erosion.
I don't know what that is. See, then you get into here and you see these other pictures. There's so many of these ancient world pictures. See this one. Now, this one, I think, Jay and I have talked about this one before. So there's a picture from the Middle East of a silver disc. So there was a battle in a city in the Middle Ages, probably around the times of the Crusades. The army that was coming in could not get the city to surrender. They tried everything they could, and the battle had been at least 3 years, and they couldn't get anybody. One day, the silver disc just pulled up and blew the gates completely off the fucking city. Excuse my language. Blew it off completely, and the invading army came in. What makes this story so important is both the winners and the losers said that's what happened. So 130, is this AD? I can't tell. No, let's see. There you go. Alien on a
Yeah.
coin. Doesn't even tell us what year the coin is. See, they usually have better information than this over here. So here we go
Yeah.
again.
Well, there's also, I think it's 1516. You should come across that. This is 1665. That one it says. There's one the woodcut of 1516. Maybe it's 1615. It's something like
This
that.
one, this one's extremely famous. This one with
Yeah.
with Mary. As you can see, there is a saucer in the background. The guy.
And there's a dude looking at it.
Yes, you see him down
And
here.
a
Look at
dog.
it. You can see him right there.
See a
Isn't
dog's
there
looking
a
at it too.
depiction? Isn't
What
there a
was that?
depiction of the crucifixion where there's just like
Yeah.
dozens of them?
We already no. There's two. It's the triptych. There's one on either side of the crucifixion.
See, these are all made. These are
Yeah,
all
these are all
people who
good.
made these. Now,
But the
this is getting back to
1516
legit.
woodcut has like a space battle above some city in Austria. So okay, see the triangle. Go up, Joe. Go back one. Go up. Scroll up. All right, you see that triangle with the dude sitting in it, in the blue
Yeah, this
background?
right
The
here.
whole spaceship.
That's the one on the crucifix you're talking about. That's one of the UFOs.
That's totally a spaceship.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Also,
Yeah,
there's a
there's-
picture of Mary somewhere sitting in I forgot what she was doing, and this one's also in there as well. And you notice you can see the ridges in his spine, and his head's completely turned around. No human can turn their head around like that, not without breaking their neck. Let's see if we can get it on the big screen. Little stuff like this all over. See, this is one we were talking about earlier. See, this is just, and there it is right here. These are all legit photos. I mean, I'm sorry, photos, legit paintings. There it is. You get a much better view of it now. So you can see his body's facing forward, and it looks like some kind of controls right here. But you can tell that's his spine, and he's looking backwards. I never seen nobody turn their head like that before, guys. Because I've never noticed that before today, by the way. It's the first time I've ever noticed that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
people have mentioned that before. Actually,
Yeah.
I think they did.
This is the crucifixion. Now you notice these are different ships.
Yeah, those. Yeah, I've seen that one too.
Yeah,
Those
so-
are the jellyfish. Yeah.
yeah, that's a jellyfish. Yeah, that's what I called them too. That's a legitimate crucifixion painted of the crucifixion of someone who
Yep,
was there.
with two UFOs on either side, just like the other cryptic.
And
There's Mary with the UFO.
That's what we was just talking about.
Yeah, and
Wasn't
the guy
that
and
a
his dog.
Leonardo da Vinci painting?
I have no idea. I'd have to go back and look. Here's coins.
Oh, there's a UFO and a coin. Yeah, that's legit.
Okay,
That's
not
the guy.
much.
One of the guys talking. I told you about with that certain pose with the hands around the waist.
Of course, y'all know what
Yeah.
these are. Now, this is just. Is this the one?
Oh, on the other side, I think it has a really cool thing. Yeah, there's one that has one side they don't know what it is. The other side shows like the human gestation process from
Well, I was
beginning
trying
to
to
end.
figure if this was the Pravda disc, the one, the cover stone they found that showed the resources in the valley. I can't remember what it looks like. Nah, that's not it. That's not it. Well, that looks interesting.
Yeah, that could be a cloud though. Oh, look at that!
Okay, now you see, these kind of things are interesting because
Look at how many fingers it has.
Oh, yeah.
6? Can't tell.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shit, I think that's 7. Let me
7.
go back
Wow.
and count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I wish I had the ability to like zoom in and stuff. It's so
Yeah.
little on my tiny little phone.
Yeah, it's not exactly huge on this computer either. So you see me.
Yeah.
Now here you go.
I'm having to peek in. Nefertiti.
So, so here's Nefertiti, and here's what the human aliens look like, except their head would have been a little bit more tilted back.
They bound their skulls since childbirth.
Yes, but that,
Not them.
that would not explain the volume of brain size in the elongated
Okay.
skulls we have
So,
found.
well, first off, the Naskins used to bind their children's skulls, and it was a little
Yes.
bit different looking than this.
There are some African
This-
tribes that did it as well.
But this is the Egyptians. They didn't do that. They said the Egyptians had that disease that made their skulls grow like this. But it's too close to what the human aliens look like. So I would have considered this a human hybrid, meaning a human from today and a human from the aliens hybrid is what I'd consider this. because on the human aliens, this head would tilt back about right here, would go back to about right here.
Mhm.
Instead, this one goes straight up.
Wasn't that kind of what the most recent Indiana Jones movie was about?
Yeah, the crystal skulls.
Yeah.
Elongated heads, yes.
Yeah. Okay, these guys look like they're high.
I've seen that before, yeah. Minotaurs,
Yeah.
I think they called them.
And
That's a
as you can see,
Sumerian. That's a Sumerian ceramic scroll. It's a raw. It's a roll. It's like a roller that they roll across on a piece of clay and they bake it. That's how they make those images.
and then you have these.
Yep, that's an old image. That's one of the the Max Crispy artifacts, I believe.
That's a UFO.
Yeah, no kidding. Look at it. There's a dude dead underneath of it.
Yeah, the UFO is taking him out of the sarcophagus, it looks like, because there's some kind of beam here.
Yeah. There's something
Either that or
on.
he's regenerating in one or the other. There's also things.
It's Saturn or Jupiter, yeah.
Do you think that humanity was at one point more
What the hell is this?
favorable?
That's the sarcophagus lid of that king in somewhere in Mayan history. If you turn it, if you rotate it, it looks like a rocket. He's got something going up his nose for breathing. His feet are on controls. There's flame coming out the back. It's pretty. If you put color to it, which people have, it really, you can really see what the image truly is. There's some guy in a rocket.
It's interesting. And then, of course, you got this guy talking to this gray. The
think
grays
that's a
show up.
fake one.
It might be, but the grays show up all over Egyptian hieroglyphs, but they don't look quite like this.
Well, do you think that humanity used to be more favorable to these?
Oh, go back. Show that horse.
Beings
That horse had
than they
6
are today?
legs.
Because it sure
1, 2,
seems like there's a
3,
lot more
4,
depictions
5,
of
6.
them.
9
back
legs.
then.
What the hell?
9 legs on that horse. Oh, sorry, 11 legs.
Oh, they must just have tried to show another horse and didn't.
No, that's how they showed most.
Oh no, yeah, there's another head. Look right there.
Yeah, there's 2 heads. Oh,
Yeah.
so it's probably a 2-horse team.
Yeah, I had a hard time with that.
The 2-horse team doesn't explain 11 legs.
No, it doesn't. It should only be 8. It's got, and look, here's another 2-horse team back here. You can see the 2 horses, but there's only 2 legs on this one. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah,
I think the painter might have been having issues.
Well, like I said, some ancient historians say that's how they showed motion. Like if you look at the Shidu, that they're human-headed cow beings with wings from Sumeria. If you look at them front on, they're standing still. But if you step to the side of the statue, you can see that the legs are separated as if it was walking or moving forward.
Here's another shot of that one that blows the.
Yeah, there's a beam going through the building.
I'm not sure what's going on here, but you can obviously see it.
Yep.
Of course, here's the 2 humans we were talking about in the picture. This is one side of the picture. This is the other side of the picture.
The round-hearted one is chasing. The red one is chasing the blue one. That's why he's looking backwards.
So the sun is chasing the moon,
I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't know. No, people don't write to me. We're just speculating here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why are there so many more depictions of
Fake.
alien interaction with humanity in these ancient times, like
That's real.
than there are today?
Because they want us to know. Eventually, we're going to find out.
Well, think about it. There's pictures all over today. We just won't
when
believe them.
Huh?
So there's pictures all over today. We just refuse to believe them.
Yeah, it's modern. It's modern day science and the control systems that the aliens put in place, the God-fearing types, the religion, the governments that they put into place. That's why people are afraid. That's fake as hell.
That's a depiction of something else. I've seen this picture before, but it's a depiction of something else. I don't know what that is. No, here's the one we were talking about earlier. See, there's the helicopter he was talking about. There's probably some kind of weird airplane. This looks like a freaking speeder. I don't know what it is, actually. And there just seems to be things in here that would be too... I mean, this looks so much like a freaking... What is the ones that you could pick up stuff with that had the missing middle? The hell they call them? I remember seeing one in Vietnam and later on.
Oh, that's right there. That's part of the Dendera thing. Okay, so there's the helicopter right there. There's the what looks like Luke Skywalker's
speeder right there.
Right, yeah. And then there's a sub saucer underneath of that.
There's a helicopter.
So it's just
Yeah, that's the one that looks kind of like. If anyone has seen a Sikorsky freight helicopter, that's kind of what they look like.
Isn't one of those a submarine too?
Yeah, there's another panel with no
the one
question.
on the bottom is a jet airplane.
It could be. Yeah, no natural flying creature, bug or bird, has a vertical tail fin.
See, there's a lot of these UFOs with rays coming out of them all over the place. Here we
well,
go
wouldn't they have the ability to like show really bright lights if they wanted to?
Yes. Oh, look at that. Looks very much like that Mayan sarcophagus lid. That's also at Dendera. That's the light bulb.
So, yeah, this is the light bulb. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard Jay and I, and we've talked about these many times on this show. So, these are light bulbs is what these are.
Yeah, look at it.
They got, so, if this is a real snake, that's an eel. But anyway.
No. So, the serpent in Egyptian hieroglyphs means power.
Yeah.
Or energy.
So, this is an element. You can see it over here. This is an element that creates light. This is the glass tube, and this is the over here. Here it is.
The cord coming out. I wish we
had as you can see,
cord right to the energy source.
Yes, and as you can see here, here is lit up. You can see the sky's lit up. His face is lit up. His body's lit up. There's light all underneath it.
Yep.
So it's showing you that this is a light of some kind.
Guess what else? Guess what else, Joe? You'll never believe this. Tesla's light bulb is identical.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Tesla's light bulb is 100%. It has an external like metal thing like that holding it up, and it has well. The good thing though, reason why they didn't go with Tesla's is because they weren't they were renewable. So it was like a propane tank. Your light bulb stops working. You take it to the light bulb shop. They give you a fresh one that's filled with gas. They take yours and recycle it. They put a new element in it, put new gas in it, and give it to the next person that comes along. Cool system. I wish we had it.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
Look at these. There's something else. So the more you look, people, I mean, we're just scrolling.
Oh, there's Dogu. Yep. There's a Dogu and the second one from the top.
Yeah.
Left.
Yeah. That's Mayans, Japan, China. I don't know who the hell this is. They don't know who the hell that is.
The second one in, the black one, that's Japanese.
Yeah. This one, you got this one right here is Japanese, and it's well, that's the thing.
Japan. No, but the second one at the top left, the little black one. Yeah, that one is the Homan. That's prehistoric Japan. 12,500 BCE, we start finding those clay idols. 12,000. Who makes a spacesuit? Or I don't think it was a spacesuit because the Homan stories are that those creatures emerged from the sea and could not breathe our atmosphere. So it's a reverse scuba tank. It's for a guy who breathes water to breathe water up on the land, and that's why they wore those suits.
Now, this picture here is great for one simple reason.
That's the 1516 woodcut I was talking about.
Well, there's one of these.
There's a couple of those actually.
Well, there's one that you can find in the picture of it in the London Library. So I can't remember exact date was. So some guy was sitting down painting London. He was just painting London. When all these orbs just came through the town. This is well documented. The mayor documented, everybody, there was just hundreds of witnesses. The local paper wrote about it. It's well documented. They don't know what it was.
Right.
But they do know they just showed up and just came floating through the city, spent a couple of hours floating through the city, didn't do any harm, didn't do any damage, didn't mess with anybody, and then they were gone. Nobody knows what the hell they were. It's a very strange account when you listen to them talk about it. But this one's something else because there was just orbs they were seeing in the one in London.
Maybe we ought to do a themed show where we collect as many of these artworks as we can from history with, unquestionably UFO themed things in it. Because
I've seen this one on the left before.
Actually in art, and I wouldn't mind doing a whole show on that.
No, we probably could. We could set it up and do it on here. Let's see. This is a legit photo. I've seen this before.
Yeah, it's
I
like a
keep saying
fleet of a
photo.
bunch of.
These are pictures.
I guarantee
I
that
still
one's
got
fake.
issues. I just got issues with that
Yeah,
one.
that's faker than hell.
I've seen this one
I've
before.
seen that one. Yeah.
It's amazing how many of them have saucers around them.
Yeah, but you know what they call those saucers in that picture? They're halos.
Yeah, on the sides and on it. That's too many halos for one person.
Right.
I've seen
That's
these in a
Australian
couple of different places.
or New Zealand.
Yeah, I've seen them in
Kimberley,
a couple of
Australia.
places. There's that one picture we've seen again.
Yeah, 1516 woodcut. There's that Mary one, dog and a guy watching the UFO. Pretty cool. Yeah, what's that?
Yeah,
Shield
what
in the
the
sky.
heck? And she's like, "Whoa, no, we
Yeah.
don't want that." And you just keep finding more and more of this stuff. These ancient creatures, all these writings.
That might be the ancient
Our great
Zodiac.
What's that?
This was a UFO shot over a nuclear power plant
Yeah.
a long time ago.
There's pictures of them over top of the congressional building in D.C. twice in 1953 and I think once in 1952.
Yeah, this is a alien army on the moon. Well, I don't know about all that. We just looked at a couple of these.
Yeah.
We just looked. See,
That's an ancient woodcut. Yeah.
There's so many of these things out there. And then, of course, this looks
That's
like
a stretch. It's a stretch.
See, there it is over here.
Yeah, it's a blow up. It's a stretch because I mean it's part of a column, isn't it? Or
it looks like pottery.
Actually, I think it was on a column. I think it was on a post. I mean, I did go look for sure. There's so much.
If you look at the larger picture, that's the Anunnaki. All the watches and the purses. That's all what's highlighted there.
There's so much of this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
More of this. I mean, the more we go through, the more we're going to find.
Yeah, Nefertiti again. Anunnaki, yay. Oh, I don't know about that one.
I've never seen that one before. I would have to research that one. It's a good one if it's real. And it also would change the way everybody thought about the Anunnaki because they all thought they were part of the human aliens. So that would be nice to see them change. Okay. I don't know about this. I've never seen this.
What's that? Oh, I was looking at something. Ooh, where'd you get that?
It's ancient aliens. The new discovery in Mexico changes everything. Oh, they said this is legit.
Really? Maybe we should look at the page.
So
the Pinterest. Never mind.
It's a Pinterest. I was looking up a little close. Oh, did I hit the wrong button? I think I did. No, there it is. Yeah, it says ancient aliens. The new discovery in Mexico changes everything.
But it's a Pinterest, and it's in Spanish.
Ancient aliens and new discovery in Mexico. A whole series of
recently discovered. Wow, who proofread this?
I know you've seen that, huh? That looks worse than my freaking.
Architectures has been released. Findings could be. That looks like 100% bull honkery.
Well, I'm gonna need a little bit more information than that.
I don't even need any more information. I'm gonna call bull. You know what on that one?
What's that, Jack? We're not being hard. We're just being honest, man. Oh, I done screwed up.
I've been doing this since for 40-some years, on and off, and it just there's some stuff that's so hokey out there. You don't even have to look at it twice to realize it's not worth looking into. There we go. There's another picture of the Dendera thing. Look at that huge bug.
I know you see it over here. It looks more like a craft.
Yeah.
I don't know what. This is something down here with a head in it.
Yeah. But there's another panel below that. You can see the corner of it in the bottom corner that has the sub in it and another helicopter.
Well, it's funny that these are all some kind of something that moves.
But it also looks like, look at the edges of it. It looks like someone tried to cover it up, and part of the covering has broken away.
Yeah,
like there's information, other information behind those bricks that we want to find. I'm going to call BS on that one too.
We've seen all these, seen these. Wait, what was that one? I didn't see that one.
Oh, that's a famous artwork. That's in the
Yeah, they're talking.
Yeah, it's in Tuscany, I guess.
The Coven. Yeah, the Borg.
Yeah.
You look like an alien chick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, where did she come from?
I know she looks kind of alien to me. Yeah, I'd like to see one like that over there.
Yeah, that's.
And the problem is there might have been stuff like that over here.
There's your trip. Go back one, Joe. Go back one real quick. There's your triptych, Leah. That's the crucifixion. On the left is the guy in red, and on the right is the guy in blue getting chased.
But it looks like it's chasing him in reverse compared to the other.
It's from left to right.
But you see how the pointy part on the other one?
Yeah,
is
follow the
forward?
arrow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly right.
I don't know, but it has all the shoot-offs, like the little tiny spiky ones pointing in the back.
It's definitely weird, that's for sure, since his head's completely...
Yeah, it doesn't belong there.
No, I've seen this, but I don't think this was an alien. I've seen this up close on another image. It didn't look like an alien on the other image, so... This is more stuff, just things they keep finding.
More figurines, strange. There's some home on figures up top on that one.
It's just a lot of this stuff out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, people. There's not as much as you think, but there's a lot. You get weird stuff like this. Yeah, you see, this is the guy putting the helicopter up there so you can see it. You got this piece, this piece, this piece. I mean, there's just so much of it. I mean, there's a lot of repeat stuff, too. See, when I look at this helicopter, I think of the one with the thing that's missing in the middle that carries cargo and stuff. But that's just me personally, though. No, Bruce, we're getting ready to get out of here. It's 20 after. We got to go. We got into this. Uh-oh, Stargates, man.
Well,
Is that
one of
the
first images that I ever saw was in the 1970s. Was in Eric's book, Eric Von Daniken's book.
That's from a movie. Go back.
That one?
That's from a movie.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. Well, in Eric's book, there's a rock in Guatemala that has a cog carved into it. You know, why would people that were spear throwers need a cog? They didn't have a watch. So that's
these on cave walls are interesting because there's a set of these.
Yeah.
There's a set in the EU that dates back around 50,000 years, and it's a group of chasing. I guess it looks like a herd of deer or something, but you see 3 white discs, look like they're formation and maybe herding the things. Well, what's interesting about that, found in the United States near the Pueblo, is one that's about 5,500 years old, showing Indians chasing buffaloes with 3 discs. Looks like they're herding. I mean, things like that make you wonder.
Yeah.
It does sound like they were trying to help us somewhat in the ancient world.
The evidence is out there. I mean, why does modern science and the convention not want to see it?
I don't believe you know jack shit about extraterrestrials, buddy. You better keep your nose out of this. I don't have to be mean to you.
That's a Billy Meyer right there.
Yeah, going back. This is the one he called him. This is a Billy Meyer.
That's one of the fake ones, isn't it?
It looks like one of the fake ones, yeah.
Yeah, when they were more ornate, they weren't. Those were the faker ones.
You see all these things. I mean, at least somebody had a good grasp of color. Stuff like this, you see. I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, more and more. And I mean, we're just going along. We haven't got into Chinese.
Oh, go back. That looked like the Ed Walters thing.
Where?
What? Oh, a cat is digging into my thigh. Right there.
That could be close to the Ed Walters. It needs to be spread out a little bit more, but it could be close.
That's very close.
UFO R3 History Hub pages. It doesn't tell us anything else. No, Frank, we go and see. No, we're just stopping. There's tons of this.
Here's the pork pie hat.
There's tons of this. So we're gonna go now. Let's see. Look, all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, the more I click, the more we find. I mean, well, no. Let's go back to this one for a minute. So if you notice, they're up there with this, and this is like a mic. They're communicating.
Yeah.
But who is this up here communicating?
What happened to Atlantis?
Jesus and God, I think.
That's what I was thinking.
And the Holy Spirit, yeah. You can see, see the dove, and then off behind the guy in the blue, there's another face.
Oh yeah, right here.
Yeah, so there's Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and God, and I don't know what those 2 faces are in the back. There's one behind God, one behind Jesus, and then there's all those dudes that looks like the clergy.
Yeah, because this looks like
those red monk's capes. That's a cardinal right there.
It's very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
What
Japanese
happened to Atlantis?
Chinese. Atlantis sunk.
I sent it
I think-
home.
I think Atlantis was covered in ice. We call it Antarctica now.
Well, it could have been crushed by ice.
Well, it's still underwater. No matter how you look at it, Antarctica is underwater.
Anyway, guys and girls,
But
we're going to
it's
get out of
underwater.
here. So, all you SOBs be here Friday night. So I'll give you a couple of heads up. Trump has taken the lead in 4 of the national polls and looks like 6 of the 7 swing states. So bring your numbers with you. Be ready Friday night. No, we don't mind. You can. Hey, look, if you got a source that's legit, bring it on. So Jay and I and Leah and Sean don't talk about just one side numbers. We talk about everybody's numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I hate everyone equally.
Yes, well, I do too. So don't feel bad.
The only way to be in this election, you have
right.
to dislike both sides. But which side has the winning record? We'll find out Friday.
So I decided I'm moving to the chocolate ice cream planet. Screw the rest of y'all. I'll be 600 pounds by the next time I see y'all next. But
screw that. I'm
what
moving
you
to
mean?
the
There's a
coffee ice cream planet where you don't gain any weight.
Oh, that's not bad. The sprinkles planet. I'm not going to the sprinkles planet. That sounds like some other kind of
You
planet.
only need sprinkles if you drop your ice cream in the ground. Ask
Have you
Eddie
guys
Murphy.
heard of Mountain Dew Planet?
Yes, Denise, to answer your question, we will be talking about the TG this weekend, the transgender thing this weekend. So, because there's been a lot of news developing in that as well. Well, no, Leah's transgender. Y'all didn't know that? Oh, y'all better not be rude to her. Shame on y'all if you don't. Just teasing. Anyway, we gotta go back in
There'll be
real
news to her on Friday.
I'm a natural born
something.
human being.
Anyway, we're gonna get out of here before I get in trouble. It's already 24 after. I'm surprised.
Yeah, Michelle's gonna have our ass again.
She already said she's gonna fire the 3 of us last week. So we
yeah.
Thank God I'm the boss, man. Anyway, we gotta go, and thank everyone for tuning into United Public Radio and UFO Undercover. I truly hope you enjoyed the show tonight. We got in a good bit of what we wanted to talk about tonight. We like to start off and get y'all.
For a change, we stayed on subject for the most part.
Yes. Yeah, we did stay on subject for the most part, and a lot of good things y'all can talk about. We'll probably do an update on this show because Jay wants to do the art. So maybe in 2 or 3 weeks we'll do a show. It'll give us some time to get all the artwork together. As soon as we get it together, we'll just set up and do the show. So.
Yeah, because you'd be surprised. I went to art school, and it took Ancient Aliens to open my eyes to see what UFO stuff is painted in with famous painters. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable because some of these people are very famous, and the fact that see, to me, when people ask me where they should start to learn about aliens and UFOs, I always tell them in the past and work forward. Because there's so much evidence in the ancient world. I mean, we can go back 12,000 years and find stuff and come all the way back to today. And then with all that evidence, you can bring all that evidence forward and it matches with what we have today. And it pretty much proves beyond any real doubt that we're being visited.
And I've said it for years and years. If you were to take just the photographic evidence, and that includes the artwork, just the photographic evidence to any court of law, without a body, without a smoking gun evidence, you would get a conviction in a murder trial with this evidence.
Oh, with the photos and all the eyewitnesses.
Even a corrupt court, you would win. Trust me on this. There's that much evidence out there.
Yeah, there's that much evidence and there's that many eyewitness testimonies. It's an easy win. But on that note, we got to get out of here. Thanks again for tuning in to United Public Radio and UFO Undercover. I hope you enjoyed the show. It's Leah, Jay, and myself, Joe, and we'll see y'all all next week. Don't forget, Friday night we will be here causing trouble. Oh, no. We're nice tonight. Oh, yes. We're very sweet.
Yeah, this is the G show. Wait till Friday.
I even did slip with 2 curse words, but I usually don't do. But Friday night is open kick-ass night. So we will see y'all on news on the flip side, 9 p.m. Bring your data, bring your information, bring your facts. Challenge us on Harris, challenge us on Trump. We don't mind. All I can tell you is grow a set and vote. On that note, good night and stay tuned for The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Media Pisano. See y'all Friday.